All right, Fez, I know you're all excited about the trial, the Supreme Court going on. And what's the latest?
Well, yesterday was the case about Prop 8, the California ban on gay marriage. Today, the court is hearing the arguments about the Defense of Marriage Act.
You got your solidarity thing up online?
No, I don't.
You're not even familiar with it?
No, what's that?
Never mind. Forget about it.
So the big thing that came out of yesterday's...
You don't even go to the iBang to see our solidarity thing?
Yeah, I go to the iBang.
Stephen Fry has it. Tim Heidecker has it. Kerry Washington. The iBang, of course. On and on and on it goes. All right, so go ahead.
So yesterday, the big deal was...
Paul F. Tompkins has it up on his...
That is great. I guess one of the more tenuous moments was Anton Scalia, Justice Scalia, saying, exactly when did it become unconstitutional to exclude homosexual couples from marriage? And he was trying to pin down Ted Olson, who's representing the couples suing over Prop 8. When was it? 1791, 1868, when the 14th Amendment was adopted? Knowing Ted, this is just a little game Scalia's playing.
I don't think it's a game at all. I think it's an interesting question.
But, I mean, you would have to say, when did slavery become wrong?
Well, we had an amendment.
When's the exact date? Well, we have the 14th Amendment. I think Scalia answered his own question. When you had the 14th Amendment of equal protection under the law.
Well, here's the thing. When did the state ever start to get involved in marriage to begin with? To me, that's the important question. And I told you a long time ago, I thought the dumbest thing that the gays could be doing, even though I'm going to be supportive, because I get, you're doing, I always thought the gays should have went out and made something better than marriage and had straight people follow them into it. I think the entire concept, I don't understand what it has to do with the state. To say, I want to be recognized, or I want a state version of marriage, almost, to me, seems like I want a state-recognized version of communion. You know what I mean? I'm not a Catholic, but I want to go get communion. Can I go do it at town hall? I don't think it's anybody's business. And that's why I think the civil union thing was at least a start. And I think what should have happened is that a lot of straight people, instead of going to get a marriage license, should have went and got a civil union license to begin with. Or maybe a couple lawyers could get together, God knows we got enough of them, and did something better than a civil union or better than a marriage certificate. It always amazes me as this. If you wanted to go down, Pep, if you and your girlfriend wanted to go down to City Hall and say that you're married, it takes no time, you sign this paper.
Yeah.
If you said, we want to invest money to start a fucking bed and breakfast and we're partners, the amount of paperwork and
people to fucking
everything that would have to do, for some reason, we refuse to see this as a business partnership. And it is, until you go into a church, and then that means whatever you and the church decide to let it mean. I think gay people kind of dropped the ball. Again, I'm going to support this thing because no one is doing anything better. But I think they really dropped the ball on this one. And it kind of proves that lack of gay leadership that we were talking about. But we had a quick question that is going up on the iBank. It got sent in to us. It says, the word marriage never appears anywhere in the U.S. Constitution. If the U.S. Constitution chose to delegalize marriage, ending benefits to married couples, would you still get/believe in marriage? 866 Ron Zero Fez, 866 Ron Zero Fez. Here's Robert in Birmingham. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, Ron, I was going to explain to Fez what it is that Scalia meant by that. His point, he is an originalist on the Constitution. He thinks that unless the Constitution means exactly what's written in it. So it means now what it meant then, unless something has been specifically amended. So that if the founders at the time that wrote it, if their understanding at the time of marriage was heterosexual, and I don't care one way or the other, but if that was their understanding, that would be the understanding today, unless it had been changed between then and now. That was his point.
See, Fez, by you saying Scalia is playing a little game, you think that he's anti-gay.
Yeah.
But the weird thing about Scalia is he doesn't even believe in interpreting the Constitution. He goes by this whole exact word thing and wants to sit down and go, what was the original contract saying, and this is what it means, and the fact that maybe marriage isn't covered in the Constitution at all, I would see as being a good thing for gays or straights. It seems ridiculous to me that we still go falling into this marriage thing when they say 50% or over 50% fail in the first place. Now, you realize that when gays get the marriage thing, they're not going to be married in the eyes of the Catholic Church, right?
Oh, absolutely. Any church, I don't think.
Okay, so what's the whole deal matter then? Why would it matter to you? Why wouldn't you just write up a contract that fits whatever those two people want to be and then call yourself married? Because basically, straight people getting that fucking thing from the church are just calling themselves married. What is the big deal about any of this?
Because there are technical things that are involved with the federal and state government that...
So it comes down to money.
In these respects, yeah. I mean, people want to be able to marry the person that they've built a lifetime with, but also part of that is, let's say there's a lesbian couple who built a business together. They were together for, I believe, over 40 years. Now, because the business had to be, for some reason, she doesn't get the inheritance that was
what inheritance?
There was something with a real estate tax.
Then you did not write up
because
your
she's
contract.
Not family.
You did not write up the contract. I don't have to leave my money to family. I could fucking write up a will right now that makes sure no one in my family gets anything. So, again, you're going back to this legal thing when you could easily take care of some of these problems.
There's all kinds of legal loopholes. All right, let's say there's a lesbian couple.
Let me just say this. You think that your life is going to somehow be free of legal loopholes with a marriage license? That's fucking insane. That's, again, giving that marriage license far more than it's fucking worth. It's not a great document. These things aren't fucking terrific.
But if you have a heterosexual couple that's married, and one of them gets hurt and is in the hospital, that spouse has every right to go visit their spouse. A gay couple can even put that in a will, and if the family doesn't like the gay boyfriend or girlfriend, they could contest that, and that person is now obligated
I do not
to spend
believe
a
that
fortune
I don't
on
believe
legal
that
bills.
for a fucking second, because my father hasn't been in charge of me since I was 17 years old. In no way are you down to this. So it always comes down to two things. Number one, meeting someone in a coma, which, by the way, I can get in any fucking hospital in this town. I go and visit people all the time without stopping for anybody. I never get this I'm kept out of the hospital room thing. But I really think is... And by the way, you can walk in when somebody's having a baby these days. I'm not kidding. You can walk in just about anywhere.
But Sally Ride is a American hero first woman in space. She's with a partner for years. Her partner, after she passes away, can't get the governmental death benefits.
So it comes back to money. It comes down to
It's both things.
But I mean, if it's just about some fucking cash, I'm looking at it in the first place. I think a lot of those things seem like, why is the government involved in that to begin with? I think that's something for fucking gays and fucking straights to look at, is, do you want the state involved in your business when it comes to this? I really think we need something a lot less. But if this fight is for some government benefits and the visit in the fucking hospital, it would be one of the weaker civil rights fucking movements in history. Not what it really seems to be about, but about gay people being represented. Should be on a much more interesting scale than the one that we've lined up for here.
It's about, should you be allowed to marry the consenting adult that you love? These are the things that fall under these government umbrellas.
Again, then we should be standing up to the fucking government umbrellas. Not to try to get gay people to join into this antiquated, losing fucking proposition that we already have. I never even got some of this stuff. Here's Dave in Ohio. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, Ron, I just want to let you know that that's why Fez did not visit you when you had your appendectomy. He was stopped at the counter. He had his Sports Illustrated. That's why he didn't come in.
No, that was for a different reason. Joe, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, guys, I listened to the conversation. I kind of think you're missing the point that I think a lot of people have. There's always got to be some type of limitation on who can or can't marry. Whether you draw the line with gay or heterosexual, or 2 people, 3 people, 5 people.
All right, but see, here's the thing. You can't, no one ever sits around and say, hey, 4 people can't buy a bar together. And that gets confusing. I have no idea why I would ever tell 4 people that they can't join in any kind of contract that they want to. I don't see where it's my business, and certainly not the government's business. There are people, more than 2 that own homes together. What do I give a fuck? Am I going to start screaming this is crazy? A couple and their aunt can't own a home together? Who's paying the water bill? Who's paying the electric bill? Why get into their goddamn business? You can't tell me that 3 or 4 people can't sit down, write up a contract on how that property is split. Because there's plenty of business contracts out there where you've got 2 people that are 40% of the business and 1% is 10% of the business. You take the time to write it out. Here is Matt. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey there. Many bucks, Ron.
Hey.
Hey, Fez, I'm not sure I agree with everything that you're saying, but the points you're trying to make are kind of off because you're standing on the wrong soapbox, buddy. You need to bring out the inequalities between a legally quote-unquote married couple and a civil union. I'm talking about health insurance. I'm talking about tax reporting. I'm talking about the
Social Security benefits.
It's money.
Can have, right.
Pensions.
Ron's right. You can write up a contract for anything in the world and it will, but you can't get the health insurance and you can't file taxes as a married couple.
See, this is that's the thing that comes down here, which is ridiculous, and almost the embarrassing thing about this, that it really comes back down to a couple of tax benefits, and that's it. And I've always been curious why we have those tax benefits for the beginning. Why are we penalizing people that are single? Why is Chris Stanley paying a higher rate than Dave McDonald?
Getting hammered.
Dave is the one who decided to get married and have kids. Chris has decided to live his life this way. But why act like one way is a better way in the eyes of the government? It's insane to me.
That shit's nuts. That was told to me like last time I did taxes last year. It's like I owe money. How's that possible?
Yeah,
it's like you're single. You don't have kids. You're fucked, dude.
You are penalized, and really, a single person should be in front of the Supreme Court saying, "Look, my taxes are already going to schools and buses, and I'm not complaining about it. But why am I at a different rate than someone my own age who decided to get married and have kids?" And that's what I don't get about this entire fight, is to somehow have gays. I think gays are trying to become conservatives. This whole "we're married," it seems to me, on some level, that they're just trying to become people who live out in the Midwest and fucking...
Which makes it odd that the conservatives like John Boehner are so against this.
Well, they don't think that you guys are the same thing. That's the weird thing about it. Here's Vinny. Vinny, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Guys, I think what the soapbox you guys need to champion is Brown versus the Board of Education, separate but equal. And I think that's the Sixth Amendment, and I think that's the way you guys need to look at this.
Well, it's separate but not equal. It's both.
I didn't know that we had separate but equal in this country. I don't know. Maybe I'm in
I think that
South Africa,
down.
But I don't know whether we ever had it. I don't think that it ever showed up in the Constitution of separate but equal. Here's Blake. Blake, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Yeah, Ron. The homosexuals also are missing a golden opportunity to get the straights on their to get on the straight side. Pointing out, why do we have to jump through hoops to get these tax benefits? Why do straight couples have to jump through hoops?
I agree. There is a gigantic chance here for gays to be leaders, and leaders in change. And I think they've missed it completely. I think there's an incredible dull foresight about this whole thing. And it comes across really smaller than life. I think it's a gigantic fucking missed opportunity. Because there won't be any true social change out of this whole thing. And I think the country across the board needs some gigantic social change when it comes to the marriage thing. And it comes to church and state and people picking the kind of churches that they want to belong to and not being forced to be under any church that they don't want to belong to. Stuff like blue laws seems ridiculous to me because some religious people are happy about it. And in the same way, I don't think anyone should really get that big a decision of who decides to partner up in life and who doesn't. I don't know what that has to do with anybody else. So I'm going to support the gays, but I think they've picked a very low fucking road here. And I'm stunned, actually, by it. I'm actually stunned that this is the direction that they're going in. Here's my buddy Andy in Cleveland. Hey, Andy.
Hey, just to piggyback and clear up what some of the other callers before we're talking about, what everybody out there has to remember is that the Supreme Court will not go anywhere near something that is a question of morality or tramples anywhere close to somebody's observance of religion. So, while the right and the people who are against this, they want to keep that. They want to keep this fight squarely about morality. But the interesting thing is, in all the proceedings, they can't bring it up because then they'll have their hidden agenda blown up in front of the Supreme Court. The point is, though, that if the Supreme Court sees it as a legal problem, and it is. I mean, these guys have just touched on just the tip of the iceberg. There's been instances, I had instances in my own family where a gay couple we knew, the partner was included in the will, and it was pretty much thought that was ironclad. And then the family came out of nowhere when one of the members died, who hadn't spoken to them for 20 years and declared that because they were the next in line as far as next of kin, that the will was invalid and blah, blah, blah.
Well, again, see, that doesn't have to do with gay rights. That has to do with the fucked up thing about what takes place in our courts and, and something to do with contract law. Because I think if Chris Stanley makes a will that he leaves all his money to Pips, then that's where it should fucking go.
It's my wish, right?
Yeah, and I don't sit. I mean, I see no reason that you just couldn't go through a goddamn phone book, pick out a name, and I'm shocked that this doesn't happen more. Just rich people leaving weird people fucking money for no apparent reason would be great. But
actually, Ron, it's really clearly. The screwed up thing is you're absolutely right, though. It is in the institution of the insurance world that says there are only certain people that you can name beneficiaries. They say that's done because of safety issues, so that people don't just start knocking people off because they're in their will. And so they limit it to close.
I find that hard to believe, but okay. But see, those are the type of things that we should be working towards together, straight and gays together, because it's almost like we've got a rowboat that's on fire, and the gays are saying, let us in the rowboat. You guys got in the rowboat, let us in the fucking rowboat is on fire, everybody. It's fucking... The marriage thing, to me, should only mean anything to any church and nobody else. If you wanted to say, I'm getting married by the Catholic Church, or I'm getting married by the Church of Black Earl, that's up to you. Go out and do that on your own time. I don't see why that should have any legality tied up with it. The other stuff should come down to what two people decide to fucking line up together. I'm baffled that we're talking about this. Now, the Prop 8 thing, personally, now I'm not a legal mind, I think that's going to get slapped down for the same reason that a lot of local things that you get voted on, you can't go voting by a majority rule deal. So I think that's an easy one. What's the other one, though, Fez?
The other one is the Defense of Marriage Act. And I've heard some legal people say that's actually more under the Supreme Court's wheelhouse to decide on. Whereas Prop 8...
What's it mean? What would happen? What's the two things that the Supreme Court would come up with on the Defense of Marriage Act?
Well, it would be... I guess they could uphold it and say that it's legal. The other thing is, are all federal employees equal under this law? Where some federal employees get one thing, and gay federal employees get something else. They're not entitled to the same things. This would be like, I guess, like a soldier, getting killed overseas. Their gay partner wouldn't get any death benefits.
Again, it always comes... all these things is so... The sad thing about it is it coming down to these money things. It's just these small fucking money things. The reality of it is, in my fucking way of going, if somebody was supposed to get death benefits, he could sign the paper to whoever he wanted to get those benefits. Whether it was his wife, his boyfriend, or his favorite charity. Why would that be anybody's fucking business of gay, straight, anything else?
So that one they think should be easier for the Supreme Court to strike down because it just says employees doing the same job aren't being treated fairly.
Okay. Greg, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, buddies. Fez, I'm with you 100%. My daughter's gay. She's been in a 4-year loving relationship with a wonderful woman. I was raised Southern Baptist. I've had to call my family out on their hypocrisy. They have no problem with accepting divorce and remarriage, which the Bible clearly states is wrong. They have no problem with sitting around doing their potluck dinners and going for 5 servings of gluttony. They have no problem with that. But they absolutely can't they can't stand the marriage thing. Oh, that's against God, but yet we'll accept these other things, and we'll love the rest of these people, but if you're gay, we won't love you. Now,
let's point this out, Greg. That's a totally different thing, because I know families that don't accept straight people that other people marry. So this, whatever that gets covered here, is not going to get covered by your small-minded family. They're going to be free to be as prejudiced as they want to be towards other family members.
I also agree with you on why would you try to go for something that only works 50% of the time. You're absolutely right as far as your scenario of the burning rowboat.
But I got something else for you. If I belonged to a church that I thought was doing the wrong things, I would not belong to that church anymore.
Absolutely. That's why I don't go to church anymore.
And I got news for you. If I belonged to a family who had a problem with one of my kids, I'd be out of that fucking family as well. I don't understand these that somehow these social bonds are such a big fucking important thing. Oh, I want to be thought of as this or that. You can't be, dude. You can only choose where you're going to go and who you hang with. That's it. They're not going to fucking change.
Fuck them then.
What else is there? You just keep fucking moving. Here's Brett in Memphis. You're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, Fez, I just wanted to come at you, first of all, saying that I'm a huge fan, and I do believe that you and I had a date a year ago, and I want to say that you made my day a year ago, so I'll start off by saying that. The thing I want to say is I believe that y'all are, that gays are fighting for the wrong rights. Fighting for the right of marriage should not be what your end game should be. It should just be for fighting to get your rights, through the government to get your benefits and things like that. But fighting for marriage should not be what the entire fight should be about. And as a gay person, you should want to step out and be a leader. You're already a face on the radio in front of millions of people, and that should be the fight that you're going for.
I
think, go ahead.
I think he's thinking gay people are fighting to be accepted in churches. And like you already said...
Dude, I'm telling you now, when I'm watching this new pope, they're bringing up constantly, is this going to mean anything about gays? Will they accept gay marriage? People bring it up constantly. The Catholics are not going to accept gay marriage.
No.
They also don't accept it if you marry a Protestant. That's their right. But on the other hand, their marriage vows should mean nothing except for between them. It should never have a fucking legal thing to do with anything.
I mean, that's why you don't see gays showing up, lining up outside a church.
First of all, you don't see them lining up outside of anything. You're not in the fucking streets. I don't see a lot of gays battling for this thing.
They line outside the club.
They'll fucking show up if one of the Golden Girls is going to be signing shit, but I don't see him as being that political. I don't see this as being this really bigger than life thing. I remember when Pete came in and did our show back when he was still on the Left Wing channel. What's the name of his show and what channel is he on right now?
He's on Indie.
What's he call his show?
It's the Pete Dominic Show.
Does it?
Yeah.
Stand Up with Pete Dominic.
Is it still Stand Up?
Stand Up with Pete Dominic, yeah.
Well, Pete Dominic said, I go, why are you so caught up in the gay causes things? And he said, because I missed the 1960s, I would have loved to have been around for the civil rights thing of that. And so I'm doing this one. You might want to compare the two, but they're not the same thing. This one really just seems like it's coming down to some tax benefits and some inheritance benefits. And I blame that on the gays for not making it bigger. This could be a really big, interesting thing that would force every American, gay or straight, to take a look at what it fucking means to be a citizen. Instead, we're just fighting over the same thing. If you go get this fucking see somebody in a coma, which, for me, if I could be kept out of a coma victim's fucking hospital room, it would be like the best present I could ever get. Like, I wish I could be there with you. I know you guys are going to be over sitting there probably around the clock. What I'm going to do is get the crock pot going, get some chili going. Oh. And I got the, we're in the Sweet 16. So I'll keep that up. I'll text you updates.
Dunk City, right?
Well, we're going to Dunk City, going to have some fun. By the way, you guys were making fun of Obama the other day. And from what I understand last night from the Jimmy Fallon program, Obama picked 11 of the Sweet 16.
His Final Four is still in.
Well, 11 of the Sweet 16 will do that.
Yeah, he picked all the number one fucking seats. They're going to be there for the fucking Sweet 16.
Then why didn't you pick them?
Listen, I had this whole other thing going on. All right, Kansas State was supposed to go all the way. I'm sure everyone enjoyed that fucking loss.
Here's Jeff. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron. I just want to point out a couple of things. I'm a lawyer in New Jersey.
I got 3 radio shows.
The issue you were raising on the benefits conferred to spouses is one thing. I wanted to jump on another. There's a major constitutional issue at hand. If they uphold the California law, they are essentially violating, or it would be a violation, of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. It would be the government sanctioning a religious principle and denying people rights. It's essentially putting Christianity and Judeo-Christian beliefs on homosexuality on the entire population by banning gay marriage. So that would be an absolute government establishment of religion.
Well, all right, but let me take you back there, and I'm sure you know the law a lot more than the banning of gay marriage, as you say, has been around since the beginning of time. I don't remember anyone ever bringing this up before. It wasn't even so much that it was banned; it wasn't an issue until quite recently.
Yeah, well, so nobody sued and fought for it before.
No one even thought of it, though. Gay people didn't think to themselves back in the 1800s, hey, let's get married. They said, well, we're 2 dudes that run a store together, and you know what? We decided to share an apartment also.
Ron, you missed the point, though, because you could make the same argument about slaves from 1450 through the 1800s. They didn't have access to courts or the knowledge of the
I think it's a good point. All right, good point. So you're saying it comes down to, do straights and gays have the same rights? And I 100% agree that they should. I also believe this, though. The entire marriage thing is ridiculous and needs to be revamped.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. But I guess the bottom line here is from there's also the equal protection issue. And a lot of what you're saying is true, that a lot of the benefits that the homosexual community is being denied is of a monetary nature. And the response to that is, well, hell yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What else could it be? That's the only thing, and that's a good thing about our society. People aren't being shut out of restaurants. There aren't, straights-only water fountains. We're progressive to a certain degree, but we're still imperfect. And we're imperfect in that there is an unequal amount of protection and benefits available for gay people versus straight people. The coma and the hospital do not resuscitate issues. Those are big issues. And I think it's a shame that it's even a discussion.
Well, it actually would not be a discussion for me either. Like I said, I would be supportive of this, and I was supportive of it long before Mr. Watley decided that he was gay and to be to support it as well. Do you think the Supreme Court's going to land on your side of this?
I don't trust the oldest, most conservative ones to vote or to rule intellectually honestly.
Well,
I trust them to go with their hearts, and their hearts tend to be biased and homophobic. And
but
I know that
I don't know if I would call that homophobic, but I think it's really tough for people to break from tradition. I think it's one of the hardest things of anything. And the weird thing is marketing people go through this constantly. It's really hard to get people not to use Ivory soap because that's what their mom used and their grandmother used. So it's tough to make people change their minds.
There's a deeper point that's much more deep-seated than Ivory versus Irish Spring.
Okay.
People have an ingrained, it's not hate like the American History X Nazis hate. There's an ingrained uncomfortableness about homosexuality. And I know I dealt with this because I'm straight. My father is a judge, and I've had this conversation with him. He tries to intellectualize with me all the time. We have this debate about why, it's not homophobia, it's just that I believe that it fosters procreation and proper nuclear families in society. And then when I point out the 34 different examples of male-female marriages that occur that don't foster families, that are anathema to the entire institution, like Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, all those things get swept aside. What I find is when I really get to the heart of the issue with somebody who even thinks they're being intellectual about it, is that at the deepest core, they just don't like gays. Not the hate, not that they're going to beat somebody, they're just not comfortable with homosexuality.
That you're saying that they just kind of get grossed outness by it.
And Scalia,
they're uncomfortable. It feels unnatural, and it's all ingrained societal influence, learned behavior. Nobody in nature who isn't taught that gays are wrong would feel that gays are wrong. It's learned behavior.
All right. Well, all right. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you on that, but I'm gonna try to pick up the last point that you made and see whether or not I agree with it, because I hadn't thought about this before. The fact that so many people feel somewhat grossed out by the thought of gay behavior, is that a learned thing? Or, does someone have to teach them? Actually teach them, or did they feel like that it's in their nature themselves? Born this way, if you will. Because I don't want to give out any names here, but I have a very good friend, I'll just call him Jerry Barca, who sees himself as I would say, somewhat of a liberal-minded person. And the day that I played the joke on him that Fez was going to be kissing on Polo,
that might get replayed over the vacation.
He was pretty gross. Don't play that again. Oh. And certainly don't play when I lost my good buddy over it, too, when he called back and fucking started screaming at me in my show. But he was very uncomfortable that day, and that hurt your feelings.
Right.
And my little practical joke, my punked joke, if you will, blew up over all of us, and I take full responsibility for that. So, do we learn that, or do we just feel like it's unnatural?
I think we feel it's unnatural. Like a born this way type thing.
I think we learn it.
I don't see how that could be, though, Chris. I don't see how we could think to ourselves, blah. And I know a lot of people are grossed out by it. See, for me, I've never had a problem with it. But again, if you look at my album collection from when I was a kid, I either had to act like this is okay, or I can't have this album collection. So that had to be learned on my part, because I don't think a lot of my friends felt the same way.
I think it starts learned maybe as early as when kids start yelling about cooties and stuff. Start pulling those jokes on each other.
I think you never say a boy has cooties. You say a girl has cooties, or the girls would say the boys have cooties. You know what I'm saying? Like that's almost saying cooties is almost like saying I feel something sexual here, so I'm going to give it a name. I don't think that we do that. I don't know for sure, but here's Henry. Henry, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie?
Yeah.
I kind of got a question. I have a gay cousin, and I pretty much asked him the other night. I was like, why do you want to belong to a group or participate in their thing when they don't want you? Obviously, I mean, religion obviously doesn't want gays getting married. Like, why is that? Why do they want to belong to that club? It almost seems like it's more of a since they can't belong type thing. It seems like that's the point of it, that, Christians, religious, kind of mean to gays, so it seems like they're wanting to get, almost like this is...
I don't see gays demanding on joining the church. I mean, obviously there's some who will just put up with it, and you could actually make the case that they help change people's minds as it is. John, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Ronnie, nature versus nurture. Your dad's conservative. He doesn't love the gay, right? But you don't have any problem with it. So I think it's just something that I don't think you're taught it.
Well, first of all, let me say this: my father would never go out of his way to, offend anybody or take away anybody's rights. He's not that type of conservative. Sometimes conservative be thought of as a bad word. I think my father is traditionalist, and very much a part of his generation. But, I would never thought like, he'd be the type of guy who'd yell shit at bars or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't any kind of anti-feelings.
What if you came home with a boyfriend? How would you feel about that?
Well, at this age now, I don't think there's much he could have done about it. But if I was, when I was a young person, if I started dating guys, I imagine it would have been a shocker to him. But I honestly think, knowing enough about family the way I do, I think family tends to eventually get around to accepting it, even when they don't accept it. There's no other way to live. If you want to keep if you really want to keep a family together, you have to bend all the time. But to go back to your point, the weird thing is, I do think the fact that I had so many rock and roll stars that were either gay or being called gay by other people, which was just about everyone in the 1970s, because that's when they were doing the, even Mick Jagger put on makeup then.
Androgyny.
Androgyny was gigantic. So you just had to say to yourself, look, and by the way, these guys are getting a lot of chicks too. But I do think that a lot of it had to come from, and this is a very weird thing about it, Fez, that those guys had confidence about that. They weren't screaming or saying, we're not getting enough, or give me some. They were acting like, we've got the party. You know what I mean? The party's fucking here. And I honestly think gays gave that away. If you go back to the 1970s, and you had fucking glam rock, and the art scene, the visual art scene, and even disco. If you wanted to fucking show up at Studio 54, you couldn't be homophobic about it, because the gays were running the fucking party. They gave it up somewhere along the line and started acting like, we want to be normal. We want to live in the suburbs. They stopped being fucking cool. It was the biggest problem. I honestly think if gays were on top of their game right now, they would come up with something much cooler than marriage that straight people themselves would want to be part of. And within a generation, none of this shit would matter anyway. That's my legal standing on that. That's where I'm coming from, my legal mind. because I also got a law degree in Granada, not just a medical degree.
You're fucking busy down there.
Well, you only had to pay like another $50 and you got both.
Wait. It's a $50 law /
Oh, so it wasn't even school?
Yeah, it was school. But don't you guys understand?
Oh, it doesn't seem accredited.
Here's Dave. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, guys. How are you today?
Hey.
Good. I got a question really for Fez, and I don't expect him to speak for the entire gay community by any stretch of imagination. And I just see the inequities that are there with, benefits being denied or not the same benefits available to gay couples. What if the answer was that it wasn't called marriage, but they said it's a civil union, and if civil unions recognized, you can put it on your tax form. Civil union filing jointly, you can get health benefits under a family plan. Civil union. Was that something, Fez, that you think is acceptable, or is marriage?
I wouldn't think so. To me, that goes back to separate but equal.
But you know what I would do as a straight person? I would say, give me the civil union then. You know what I mean? That would be the fucking difference. That would be the fucking cool thing to do. That would be above the whole deal. And I really don't know why people with kids should get any kind of fucking tax break on it. Or because you got married, you got a tax break. That seems fucking insane to me. And this Amanda Knox thing, that's up on the iBank today. What's that listed under?
Could Amanda Knox be extradited from the United States to Italy?
All right, I'm just going to say this. Bring it, Italy, because I'm ready to fight for this little girl.
How is this even a question? Like it's crazy that they reach, they do the.
You know we got to deal with them, right? That they can extradite people.
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh, they'll ask for her. They'll want her.
They ain't coming in. They ain't coming in.
Are there any sort of like Italian like ninjas or like special forces?
And
Sure there is. No, they don't have. I'm not even sure that she's innocent, but you can't go back and forth like this.
And what they'll do is they'll have the trial without her, convict her, and then say, hand her over.
Yeah, no kidding. But what I'm saying, that's a lot better than if she went there for her trial. People are she's going to go, no, she's not going to go back there.
Girl, you got to stay the fuck out of Italy.
Girl, you better watch out. Italians are only about that thing. What is our thing on the iBank?
Would you support Amanda Knox being extradited?
No.
Yes, justice must be served. No, their fault. They blew the case.
Suck a dick.
Suck a dick.
What are we saying?
They blew the case. 89%.
I hate the other 10%.
But yeah, justice has to be served. That's fucked up.
Here's Mark. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, I think the gays just want to shut down Christianity because the Bible says it's wrong. So because they're not included, they just want to shut it down.
And when have you said that? When have you ever heard any gay person say the Mormon Church, which financially backed up Prop 8, should be shut down? There shouldn't be a new pope. It should just all be shut down. That's never happened.
So you honestly think the Mormon Church is a positive thing? You think it's a good thing, Fez?
No, I don't think any anti-gay church is a good thing.
Would you think it would be better off? The world would be better off without a Mormon church?
Yes.
If you had it your way, would you shut it down?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've got one guy that said it so far. I'm serious, still. Don't be afraid to say that you think something's wrong. Don't beat around the fucking bushes with it. You don't like those people.
But my point is,
you saw me stand up to fucking Italy today. That's right, Italia. Don't worry. So yeah, he's going to shut your church down, Mark.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Peace. Candyman, you're on the Run Fez show.
Hey, buddies. I think there's a misconception. I'm Catholic, and we have a couple of gay families in our church that would adopt the kids, and no one's ever saying that they hate them or anything. They're accepted. They're in the Catholic school in our community. It's just that the church is not recognizing the marriage. It's not preaching hate to gay people, in my experience.
Can they take communion?
Yeah, they actually did take communion. I've seen the one. I don't know how they would find with one of the. There's a lesbian couple and there's a gay couple. They come to church every Sunday. They've adopted kids. They've been baptized. They take communion, and they're all active. And no one ever is threatened by them. My wife and I have been married 12 years. We go with your point, Ron. We've never seen our marriage ever affected if gays were together. I think it's like you said. Maybe they can come up with something where it's recognized by everybody, but they're never going to get past the churches.
And they shouldn't have to. I mean, it shouldn't be anybody's thing to say that these old men. I mean, if you look at these guys in the Catholic Church, supposedly they don't even have sex, so they're not even wide open to who has sex with who to begin with.
And that's another thing of these Supreme Court cases these 2 days is it has to be proven that allowing gays to marry is somehow detrimental to straight marriages. That it somehow damages, that other people are being damaged by gays being able to marry.
You know what that is, though? Some people don't feel good if they're having ice cream if they look over and someone else is eating it. They want to think.
My marriage has never been damaged, so I don't understand why there is an uproar. I think it's a lot of it. You know, it's experience. Some people, like I said, they just don't want to deal with it. Other people don't care, and I don't care. Do what you want to do. It doesn't affect me. So.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys.
Peace.
You got a box coming to you too.
Oh, good. We're out.
A little bit of Easter candy for Chris Stanley.
Yeah.
You can fill that out for your plane ride.
There you go. Fucking hand out some other passengers.
Bill, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
There's no non-discriminatory reason to deny same-sex marriage. If marriage were a sacrament, then the government would have no business regulating it. They can't regulate who's eligible for a bar mitzvah or confirmation or anything of that sort. Marriage is a civil status regulated by civil law.
And civil unions don't afford the same protections.
Why not?
They're just not built that way.
But they should build them that way. That's what I'm trying to say from the beginning. Do not jump in and want to become a Catholic. Make something better than what the Harps have. That's what I'm trying to say from the beginning. Don't run down that thing. Ryan, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey,
Ryan.
Hey, what's going on? First, I got to say, Ronnie, I agree with you 100%. And Fez, here's the question I have for you. You keep bringing up the separate but equal, with calling a civil union to a marriage. Marriage is not a term that's owned by society. It's a term that's owned by religion.
It's not. It's not just owned by religion. It's regulated by the government, federal and otherwise.
And I understand when you say that. So
it's not just exclusive to the church.
But it is a term that is owned by the church. So why would you want to try and create something that's the same and have that recognized by the government? At least take that step. Even if it's not your end goal, take that step. It's a step in the right direction for you then.
The step towards civil unions was taken. This is another step forward for equal protection.
Fair enough. But I just don't understand why the separate but equal wouldn't suffice.
All right, separate but equal. In the 60s, blacks had their own water fountains. They had their own bathrooms. Separate but equal. Is that right? Is that they should only use those water fountains?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then it's the same thing here.
Do you know what, Fezzy? It's really not the same thing. It's not the same thing, and you do yourself a disservice by saying so. And this water fountain thing, you wouldn't drink water that this kid fucking brought you today. And it broke his heart.
No, I don't trust that.
Poor. How are you being any different than the fucking racists down south? It's the same thing. For some reason, you've got it in for this kid. And I got news for you. If I was down south, and there was 2 water fountains, a white water fountain and a black water fountain,
Yeah.
and there was a line in front of the white water fountain, I'd be like, fuck this. I go over and drink out of the black water fountain, same way that I'm willing, at a ball game, to go in and take a piss next to the ladies. And I gotta just tell them, careful, honey. Big dick swinging through. Well, look out for it. I don't want anybody to lose an eye here. You don't like it, don't peek. I can't stand a fucking line anywhere like that.
You gotta queue up.
Queue up, I gotta take a piss. It has to happen this second.
I just use phone books to piss.
Joe, in Vegas, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up. But isn't the problem with government overall? I mean, government creates the problem, and we look for government for the answer to, not to end the problem. So, government restricted blacks from marrying whites. So now we turn to government to fix the issue that they created. So, I think we believe that a lot of the same are where, what's government involvement in marriage to begin with?
They don't belong there. They don't fucking belong there. They should have nothing to do with this issue. Any people should be able to make any deal they want together. There's a beautiful gay couple that a lot of people won't accept. And their names are Shaquille O'Neal and Chris Christie. And that picture of them together turns off some people. And I say, go for it, sister. You guys look like the number 10. And you should love yourself for it.
I think they're adorable.
Well, one of them is.
Interracial, gay. They're fucking breaking every taboo.
Anthony, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yay, $1 million. I am a straight male. I support gay marriage, equality across the board.
Bet you do.
With everything. But what's going to stop just me and one of my drinking buddies getting married and taking these tax cuts?
Yeah, it's a very good point because, by the way, first of all, you ever run around with one of your, a friend that's a girl and say, hey, why don't me and you get married for these fucking tax cuts?
These bennies.
Right, okay, same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It just never comes up.
You hate taxes,
but
right?
Only gays would propagate that.
No, he's saying straights would. Yeah. He's saying straight people will do it. Not fucking gay people, but two straight people will get married now trying to act like we need the benefits.
It's like, hey, Catholic Joe, you ain't paid taxes, right? Me and you, let's go downtown.
You know what I say?
Yeah.
Go ahead, faggot.
Awful.
What part?
The F word part.
Really? So you got a problem with me?
No, I hate that word.
But you saw the context I used it as the context of a joke.
Yes, I understand.
I accept your apology then.
Nice.
I didn't know what just happened there for a second. I thought I was being called a name. Here's Jerry. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, how you doing, Ron?
What's up?
What do you say? You got to bear with me for a second because I believe that the reason there's no gay leadership is because it's really not the gays' agenda. I believe they support it, but I do believe it's the leftists trying to break the religions so they can get the loyalty of the people like most dictator countries have. I mean, they still have Lenin's body on display in Russia. So I think they believe that if they...
Hicks, you got to go see that this week.
I'm not going to Russia.
You're going to end up there.
I hope not. Oh, fucking, we're going to be in a dash cam factory.
Well, I will say this. Even though I think you're being slightly paranoid, I don't see any real gay leadership on this, so you may be right.
Like most dictator countries have.
Yeah.
They still have Lenin's body on display in Russia. So I think they believe that they... You got to go see that this week.
All right, no, you just fucking... trying to listen to us. Rob, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, hey, Ron. The Amanda Knox thing. In Italy, they've got the weirdest... Apparently, any trial can go to 3 different levels. And once there's a verdict, then here where only a conviction can be appealed, there a conviction or an acquittal can be appealed. The prosecution can appeal it, and that could happen 3 times.
Yeah.
So you can be screwed 3 different times. I mean, you can think you're off twice and then get screwed the 3rd time through.
Well, guess what? She's over here now. She's under my fucking watch. She don't have to worry about a thing.
She can come here, and I'll watch after her.
Yeah, I mean, if for any reason she goes over to Italy, she'd be an idiot. Because those same people were the ones that were dragging fucking Mussolini around by a Jeep.
They became Nazis too, kind of. They were in on it.
Here's Mongo. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Hey, I've never admitted this before, but I'm bi, and I'm married to a woman. So, if I was single, there's no reason why I wouldn't want to be with a guy either. But here's the issue: is civil to civil union versus marriage. You can say, okay, make a civil union and call it civil union, but if they have all the same rights, what's the difference? It's like saying a Chevrolet and a Pontiac has exactly the same parts except for the different emblem on the hood, but it's the same fucking car. So the label doesn't matter. So why argue over whether it's marriage or a civil union? Just call it marriage and be done with it. It's not a religious thing. It's a civil thing, and the government made it that way, so now they got to live with it.
I agree, but when they made civil unions, they didn't make them equal to marriage rights.
So make them. That's easy enough. Make it.
If they get rid of the Defense of Marriage Act, then, because there's the 1,400 rights that they can't have now with civil unions that they can only have with marriage. So if they do strike down DOMA, then we can have a true civil union because they can have every single right. But I got into an argument with a friend of mine last night that was arguing over the word. I said, it's a fucking word. Whether it's called marriage or civil union, what's the difference?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
It still relegates someone to a second-class status.
Says who?
I agree.
Says who?
The gays.
Well, why are they saying it? Doesn't matter if it's the same thing. First of all, Fez, this is the thing I don't understand about you. And how you're able to, how the world just passes you by. Mongo the trucker just came out today, and you didn't even react to it at all. And he did it with confidence and, a matter-of-factness. I think that maybe you should think about him. Mongo, thank you so much for calling us today.
I thought it was fantastic.
Well, you never voiced it. All right, thanks, Mongo. Here's Tony. You're on the Run of Fez show.
Ronnie, did you say Tony?
Yeah, I guess I did.
Okay. I'm a gay guy from Kansas City, and I just got to tell you that you can't ask us as gay to do something better politically or better with religion because we're too lazy and disinterested just like the rest of the society to do anything about it. Because we don't have it so bad, you're right.
Yeah, I can't get all fired up about it, tell you the truth.
No.
I can't get all fired up about it.
Yeah, and I'm out with my buddies the other night because I'm in my 40s now, and, we're out, a group of us, about 6, 8 of us, in a straight bar, hanging out together, talking about how the gay bars are so boring and how gays aren't cool anymore. And there we are. It's because we're sitting in the bar we wanted to be at, having a good time, and we're accepted in that bar. Nobody came up, bothered us, called us names or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing we have left, the point about the money issue is, it's because we're fairly widely accepted otherwise. And, I got to say, when it comes to rich or poor, life and death, that is all about money.
It's very weird because you guys have become suburban dullards.
You're right, Ronnie.
It's really it's one of and the fact is that for some reason, gays, just like the Golden Girls, Glee, Bed, female comics, when Frank DeCaro was in here, just baffled by young gays who wear fucking football jerseys and go to sports bars because he can't get them at all. You know what I mean? He doesn't understand what the whole point of being gay is anymore. All right, thanks so much for calling, Tony. We got to take a break here.
Yeah.